Hey everyone, so I'm gonna make some chicken Parmesan and we're gonna go over a few things really quick. So first up is I have my chicken breast in a bag. They have already been split in half. So what that means is when you get a chicken breast in the store, it's fat on one end and skinny on the other. So what we've done is we've taken that breast and we've split it in half and we've made two. So now I've got more chicken because you know what, it costs a ton right now, right? So you wanna save while you can. And the other thing, it's going to make your chicken cook more evenly if it's all the same thickness. So here's what we're going to do. My recipe calls for me to use a mallet on our chicken. So even though this is split, we're going to do that. So I'm just going to put it on my cutting board or my mat. I have a cutting mat. And I haven't even taken these out yet. And I'm just going to do two pieces. And I need to trim these, so that's a good exercise for us to do. One good thing is to always have a really good sharp knife. So I'm going to use a utility knife. So it's good because I can hold it and I can have a good grip on it. All right, and then you want to cut away from yourself. So I don't like any of this stuff. So I'm going to go pick up the meat and I'm going to let the knife do the work because this is a sharp knife. It's going to cut right away for me. All right, so then there's like something in here that I don't like. So I'm just going to attack it until I get rid of it. It's all about, you know, this is what you're going to eat. So if you want to touch it, you want to make sure that, you know, there's no bones in here and there's nothing like crazy, yucky, nasty. All right, so I've got my chicken ready. Now we're going to use, I'm going to put a piece of saran wrap over it because I have a wood mallet. And here's my mallet, and it's just a wood mallet that I got. It's a cheaper one. It's just, I don't even know where I got it, to be honest. So then you're just going to flatten and beat. This is a good way to reduce stress. My eggs are rolling all over the place. Let me put them in the bowl where we have broken eggs. So you're just going to flatten it. This makes your chicken tender. And you can tell that it's starting to stay flat. There's pieces that aren't sticking up anymore that were sticking up before. All right, so we're gonna be done with that. So I simply throw this away and then this usually goes right back into my container. I am gonna wash my hands because I did touch the chicken. Because next I'm going to put some salt and pepper on our chicken breast and let those sit while I'm getting some other ingredients ready. So you're basically breading your chicken and then you're going to fry it and then you're going to top it with red sauce and then you're going to put it in the oven or toast or air fryer and then you're going to melt your cheese. So I just have some, this is Himalayan salt, but it's just calling for salt. So you're just going to generously salt your chicken. And then I have pepper, and I use so much that I use it sparing. I use it like this when I'm cooking because I was constantly filling up my salt and pepper shaker. So I guess when you cook a lot, you move on to the next level and have to do it this way. All right, so next up, my tongs and whatever you have in your kitchen, you use, turn your chicken over. And now we're going to salt and pepper the other side. So the salt and pepper is going to help break down and season your protein, which is your chicken. While you're getting the rest of the ingredients ready, the chicken is coming to room temperature, which is very important because it's going to make it cook. It's going to make it taste better when it starts at room temperature. You don't want to take it out of the fridge and throw it right into the pan. That'll make your chicken tough. All right, so our chicken is sitting. I am just going to slide it over here out of the way for the moment. All right, next up is we need to get our eggs into one of these trays. So I have breadcrumbs in one of these trays, and I have these cool little trays because, you know, Pampered Chef has all these cool things. And I actually earned these because it was a promotion and they were coming out as a new product, so I earned them for free. There's 3 of them. They stack together, and they have these little cool tongs that come along with them. So that's what I'm going to use. We're going to put eggs in one. We're going to put flour in another, and then the breadcrumbs in another. So it's always a good idea when you're working with eggs to break them into another container besides what, like if you're baking in your mixer, in a bowl. You don't want to break your eggs in here because if you have shells, see, like that, you're going to be chasing shells around in with your other ingredients. So you break them open into a separate bowl so that you can transfer it when you're ready. That way you're not eating eggshells in your cookies or your cakes or anything like that. And I probably could have got away with 1 egg because I'm not doing 4 breasts like the recipe calls for. I'm only doing 2 because my husband doesn't really care for it, so I'm only going to make a little bit. And actually, before I get that chicken ready, I am going to cut it into smaller pieces. So now I'm just going to whisk the egg together, beat it together. Now, one of the next step is it calls for 2 tablespoons of flour, which is, you know, just regular flour, but it's asking us to sift it or strain it onto the chicken, which I don't think I need a 3rd tray. So that's cool. All right, so it calls for 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, and we're gonna strain it through this. And I've got this big container of flour right here, and I have a measuring cup inside, and we're not gonna be exact. All right, so what it does is when the flour goes through the strainer, it makes it very fine. So it's gonna mist all over, like rain and sprinkle all over. So whereas if I just kind of like dumped it right on, it's gonna be like big clumps. And get the flour to come out. Isn't that cool? Just a little tip. Just make sure that you know that all these dishes that you're using are dishwasher safe, because you want to be able to enjoy your meal and not have to worry about all the dishes you're going to make. Dirty dishes. All right, so now we're going to flip it over and we are going to flour the other side. There, see, doesn't have to be perfect. They're just floured and now they're set inside. All right, so next up is we're gonna dip the breast in the egg and then the breadcrumb. And then we're supposed to let it set and rest. So what I'm gonna do now is we're gonna cut these. So I'm going to make these just into smaller pieces, which is really easy to do. So I'm probably going to make maybe 4 pieces. That works. All right, so I'm going to turn on my skillet. So I just have this is a stainless steel non-stick skillet. So you can just use the non-stick skillet. You can use cast iron, whatever it is that you like to brown chicken in or brown meat in. Now I'm going to use olive oil. I'm not measuring, but a couple tablespoons of olive oil. I want to coat the bottom of the pan pretty good. But I'm also going to put in butter, because I like the way that the chicken browns when it is butter and olive oil. So I'm probably going to do a couple, maybe say half of this. And I'm going to let that get warm. Now I'm going to dip our chicken. Run out of space. But we are going to dip the chicken in the egg. And then it's going to go into the breadcrumbs. And then maybe I'll put them in the third one and I'll let them sit. So let's go here. Egg, breadcrumb, and they're going to sit in here. All right, so here's the first one into the egg. I'm just going to turn it over into the breadcrumb. And don't forget, the egg makes it sticky. And look at that. Look at how great the breadcrumbs are sticking to it. And then you let it set. So I'm assuming you let it set so that the egg and the breadcrumb can adhere to the chicken. Because maybe if we put it right in the pan right away, maybe some of the breadcrumb and some of that egg is going to come right off. So I've got this one good and saturated with the egg into the breadcrumb. I've got two dogs like below me that think that they have to play right here. Hey, Tyler. All right, so that's another one done. So it's pretty simple. And you can set this up on in pie plates. If you have a pie plate, it's good to put the egg in. And you can put your breadcrumbs in a bowl and drop your chicken in there and move the pieces around until you get all them covered with the breadcrumbs, because I'm running out of breadcrumbs. So I'm just going to add some more in. And I've got a mixture of just regular breadcrumbs and panko. And dogs insisting on right below my feet right now, playing something, I don't know. So what's everybody having for dinner tonight? Bet you know what I'm having. All right, so there's 3. So here's number 4. Into the egg. This is a big, into the breadcrumb. So it's great that it gets smushed all around. I'm having chicken Parmesan tonight for dinner, da da da. So this is a great way to get started. If you are not a big cook, and believe it or not, I used to not be a good cook at all. So I started Pampered Chef so that I could learn how to cook better. And this has like brought my cooking skills and given me like confidence in the kitchen like you wouldn't believe, as you can tell. I used to be one of those girls that did the dishes for her mom and didn't pay attention to what she was making. So then when I moved out, I had to call and say, how did you make this? Because I really like it and I want to make it. So, yeah, if you're not paying attention to your mom and you want to know how to cook, join my team. Let's cook together. I can help you score some awesome products for your kitchen and help you learn how to make some great food at the same time. So look at our pan is really getting going here. We've got the oil. And the butter is just getting ready. So I'm going to turn it down a little bit. So I already have some red sauce that I made because I cooked this the other day. So I'm basically just gonna warm up some of this, and that's what I'm gonna top my chicken with. And I'm just gonna put it in, I have some little pans, and these fit right in my air fryer. But you can use a bigger pan, a flat pan, and you're gonna put your sauce on it, and then you're gonna put your cheese on it. So one thing I wanted to show you was, when you grate your own fresh cheese, you are not eating any preservatives. So you can save yourself some money by buying block cheese and grate it yourself, and it's much healthier for you. Did you know that they put preservatives in cheese that they put in that's already shredded in a bag so that it doesn't stick together when it's being shipped? So that's something that you don't need in your body, is another preservative. So the cheese that comes in the bricks, this block was like $4. And this is a ton of cheese. And then the end will get hard, and that's great to make tomato soup with. Oh yeah, tomato and some Parmesan soup, I'm telling you. All right, so look at how great that Parmesan came out. Is that just beautiful or what? Isn't that cool? All right, so we've got some Parmesan. I want to do more, because this is what we're putting on the top of the, oh, and my oil is ready. I can smell my oil. All right, so here we go. These have sat long enough. They're going in. And you want to make sure you hear sizzle. I don't hear sizzle. I'm jacking the heat up. I don't know if you're too far away. Let me see if I can move some things around. Sorry about that. Get you a little closer. Oops. Yeah, you can hear it starting to sizzle now. The other ones are going to go in, because I don't want them to be too far off as being done at the same time. So I'm going to put it in, and I've got that heat jacked up. So you're going to hear it start rocking and rolling here in a minute. Hey. All right. So next up is I'm going to do some mozzarella cheese. I have mozzarella too that's in the brick. And so this is a lot cheaper to buy it this way. So right now, I'm going to grate some mozzarella cheese. And I'm not going to use this little guy, although I could. I am going to use my shredder. My big one. Because this is going to be faster. So the Parmesan is a harder cheese, so that's why I use the smaller one. And they do have food holders if you need them, but as you can tell, this is such a big piece. And then I'm pushing it on, and it's literally, you can see it, a pile of cheese. So this is what I'm going to top the chicken with after I top it with my red sauce. It's going to get sprinkled with some mozzarella and some Parmesan. And I am going to marry these together so that they can sit there all happy and nice. And that's going to go on top of my chicken. Speaking of chicken, you hear it bubbling over here. Let's get you a little closer. And then all you're doing while it's cooking is you can look underneath and see how brown it is. I want them to have a little bit of a brown color to them. And don't forget, I jacked this up, so I'm just going to jack it down a little bit. I've got it on about medium heat. And you don't want it to sit in the oil and not be cooking, because the oil will saturate into your food and make it greasy. So it's a fine line to figure out. You want the oil a little hot, but not too hot, because you don't want it splattering all over you. But you want it warm enough, like it's right here, where it's browning your chicken, it's cooking your chicken, but it is not burning it. and it is not just sitting there either. I hope that can explain that, because that's kind of like a gray area there. All right, so in the meantime, we got our cheese done. Putting these back in the bag, and you know, I barely used any of it. And we have our cheese ready for our chicken Parmesan. I've got all my goodies. So most of my goodies will go right in my dishwasher, which is a-okay. Got your cheese. Sometimes I use stuff, sometimes I don't. So I can smell these, which you can't, but I can. Whoops, so you can tell they're brown. Over they go. And don't forget, we're going to bake these as well. And the center of the pan is warmer, so you can move your chicken pieces around, okay? So you see how the ones that were in the center are a little darker, and the ones on the outside are a little lighter. So I'm going to switch them around, and I'm going to make sure that my chicken gets done pretty evenly. All right, so that is looking amazing. You see how easy that breading was to make. Breadcrumbs, an egg, and some salt and pepper. So while those are finishing up, I'm going to get the sauce ready to go on top of my chicken. And since it's not like room temperature, I am going to warm it in the microwave for a few minutes. Whoops. Sorry. And then it's just simply going to be assembling them. And then I'm going to put it in the air fryer on 350, and I'm going to bake them until that cheese is melted to my desire. So that's the easy way. You have to just watch it. Alright, so these are looking pretty good. I'm going to shut those off, and I'm going to move them off the heat, because those are going to continue to cook in that warm oil. And I want it to kind of stop. I don't want them to get overcooked, because I still have to put them in the toaster, in the air fryer, and melt the cheese. And I don't want my chicken to be dry. You don't want that. So, this was one thing that was requested by somebody special that wanted to know how to make it, so I hope you're enjoying the recipe. This is kind of similar to the one that I sent you, except I am doing my own version of frying them in the pan. You can bake them in the oven. You could have coated them and baked them. Let's see what our recipe. Dip them in the oil. Let chicken rest for 10 minutes. Oh yeah, heat half an inch of olive oil in a large skillet on medium heat until it begins to shimmer. Cook the chicken in the hot oil until it's golden, 2 minutes per side. So that's a good way to do it. You can always set your timer. 2 minutes, flip them. 2 minutes, flip them. Transfer to a baking dish. Top each breast with 2 tablespoons of your tomato sauce. Layer each chicken breast with equal amounts of mozzarella and fresh basil and provolone cheese. I don't have provolone, and then you can sprinkle it with Parmesan. So you know what I did. And they said drizzle with half a teaspoon of olive oil. Oh, well, I like olive oil, so we can do that. And it said basil. I have fresh basil in the garden, but just gonna use, this is like an all, it's got a whole bunch of different things. It's got rosemary, thyme, fennel, lavender. So we're just gonna sprinkle some of that on top of our chicken parm. And I used panko, and I also had some regular breadcrumbs. I didn't have a full cup of panko, so I mixed them together. So it's okay to use whatever you have on hand. All right, so here's our pans. I'm gonna move back again. There's our pans, there's our chicken. Sauce feels warm. Yeah, it's good. Okay, so these are amazing. These are gonna go right into my air fryer, and they're like, nothing like sticks to them, so they're like superb. All right, so I'm gonna put a big piece and a small piece, because I kind of have one of each. Big and small. All right, now we're going to top it with and this was the sauce that I made. So it has zucchini, fresh tomatoes. It's a sauce that I made the other night. So this is a good way to use up leftover. If you have spaghetti one night and you're sick of spaghetti and pasta, and you pull out some chicken and you make something a little bit different. So our sauce is going on top of our pieces of chicken. And now I'm going to sprinkle on our seasoning. And I'm just going to put a little bit, because don't forget, this sauce is very flavorful. If you don't have a flavorful sauce, add your salt and pepper. Don't be shy of adding your seasonings. Add your salt. I'll just put a little bit extra on just for good measure. All right, now we've got our cheese, and I've got a ton of cheese over here. So I certainly have more than enough. Or is there ever too much cheese? So this is my chicken Parmesan, and it's gonna go into my air fryer. And like I said, I'm gonna put it on 350, and I'm gonna set it for like 10 minutes, and then I'm gonna check it, and I'm gonna see if my cheese is melted, because that's all I really need to do. The sauce is warm, the chicken is warm, so the cheese just needs to be melted. So I will jump back on, and I will show you my finished product. And it did say a little bit of olive oil to drizzle over the top. So I've got a little bit, and I'm just going to not a very good drizzler, but it's working. There we go. Okay, so into the air fryer these are going to go, and I will jump back on and show you what they look like when they're done. Thanks for watching.